justice thing happening because people know the perpetrators of violence in their villages.
All right. Now that you've talked about perpetrators, and Mheshimiwa, looking at the numbers, there has been this, I don't know if it's a false notion that most perpetrators are men. I don't know. What do you think about this? If you look at, or even if you interact with the women in your county and the girls in your county, and even the men, do you think that a majority of perpetrators are men and victims are women?
To a large extent, because you'll find most of the raping is done on old women, young girls, underage.
But do we have men who are also victims? It's important to look at that.
On some small extent, the boys also are being abused. We've had, in fact, in my own county, we've had a case of where some small boys are being abused, and we are trying our level best. Although some of them may not come out in the open to disclose what they have undergone, but when probed in a good manner, they are able to open up and say what has been done to them.
Men are a bit silent.
Yes, they actually look at it like the taboo things, the culture things. Somebody will think that how can a man be raped? But it's happening for sure. Men are also being violated.
Okay. Let me ask, you know, why are you so passionate about this as one of your priorities? What damage has gender-based violence caused in your county for you to decide that let this be something that I want to assist? This war, let it be mine.
Well, my sister, sometimes back, I've been staying with some orphan girls, taking them through school, before I even ventured into politics. So what happened, I got one girl whose mother had died, and they were staying in Nakuru. They could not have anybody take care of them. So I took on that girl. When we were in the house, you could just see her shake. I was wondering, why is this young girl shaking? Little did I know that whoever had married the mother had violated her when she was in class 2.
Oh, okay.
So I got interested. I wanted to know what happened to this girl. I had to dig. I had to look for the grandmother where she is. I asked her, what could have happened? She even was not able to tell me. But the uncle of the girl, just was clear to me and told me, this girl, when the mother got married, or stayed with some boyfriend, that boyfriend violated her when she was in class 2. It took me time. I had to go and talk to my bishop's wife. I told her, kindly, Bishop, have a session with this girl. So she was taken through several sessions. And then she reached somewhere now she could not shake. Because I used to wonder all the time. She's seated somewhere, she's just shaking. So the trauma she passed in when she was in class 2 made her now feel, whenever she could see anybody, she was just thinking, this person
she's living in fear.
Yeah, she was just in total fear. So from that, it really made me now think, so this is what actually the trauma these girls go through. So from there, I took up the matter, and I started now going all over in the villages. You could hear something has happened in a place, and people knew that's what I was doing, and they kept on calling me. You could hear that it has happened in Hamisi. I rushed to Hamisi. It has happened in Mhaya. I rushed to Mhaya. And that's how I've been spearheading that. That's how I gotten into it, and I started it. And up to now, I'm just on it.
You say you started before you were elected.
Yeah, some years back.
Yes. Now, having been elected, how has that platform helped you to push this agenda on a broader perspective? What have you done? It
is. We put some people on the ground.
Yes.
Because sometimes when I'm in Nairobi, like I'm here now, and it happens when I'm at home, we are working up with the women MCAs, other leaders. I've told you it's a collective responsibility. You can't actually do it alone. No, it's a collective responsibility. So when it happens, we have even some social workers down to the villages. When they get such information, it is disseminated well and goes on very well. Some of them have known how to go about it when it happens, how they should take that child to the hospital and so forth. Yeah.
Okay. Grace, allow us to explore the psychology of these two people who are involved in such, you know, acts.
Yeah.
On one hand, we have the perpetrator. On the other hand, we have, you know, the victim of this particular act. What goes on into their minds? What is happening? You know, for us to understand probably where the problem is coming from and how, you know, we can get a solution.
Yes. Now, we want to start with the perpetrator. The perpetrator, from my experience and the research that has been done, you will look at several things that have happened to this person.
Yes.
And one of those is trauma. And it can be childhood trauma. And when somebody has been traumatized, they are not able to develop emotionally in a healthy way. So now, the way that you and I, who would be normal, would be able to manage our emotions is very different, because there is a lot of abandonment, rejection, and even a low sense of self. Who am I? And they always feel, you know, the fight-flight response to danger that we have. So they live there. They either you're finding them fighting, or you're finding them hiding. And so we need to understand also that when people are abused early in their lives, they lose the sense of control over their lives. And so what happens with the perpetrator? He's trying to gain control, and he's trying to gain power over this other person, because again, even though we would have to really talk about this in a deeper sense, the perpetrator, deep down somewhere, there is anxiety, depression, and fear. And so they don't know, they don't believe.
That is not what.
No,
what
they camouflage. They camouflage in
see a
aggression.
very aggressive, arrogant.
Yes. But if you sit down with a perpetrator and they open their heart to you, and you ask the question, who hurt you? You will hear things like Madame is talking about here. Things about sodomy, when this kid, when the boy was little, an aunt who took advantage of them sexually, or whatever, or sexual violence that was really bad, or even domestic violence that happened. So sometimes...
So they grew with bitterness.
Yes, a lot of bitterness, and also a lot of unsurety, and also a feeling of they are not people of value. So I have to fight for what I want. And then there is a hollow feeling of no love. And so when they love you, that's why when an abuser comes, they are very charming. They love you, they hold on to you, they give you everything. But when the moment they begin to be triggered to think you will leave, or you have gone against what they want, or whatever it is that they feel, they are thrown into that flight mode, and the adrenaline is released in their brain to say something is danger, there is danger around. Then you see the whole blast of this violence coming out. And then usually what happens, the stories I've heard, is that after the whole thing, it's like they come out of whatever it is, and they,
what have I done?
What have I done? And they are sorry, they buy flowers, they do all that. And that is usually the way it starts. But then over time, it becomes the pattern of this relationship, because the woman or the abused then forgives. But there is also, because of the violence, the abused person, their psychology now, they have to protect, self-preservation happens, and that is where they calm down, they become timid, they can't fight back, then they stay. Because now, first of all...
Because people ask, why do you stay?
Because of this.
Why do you stay?
We have to understand that abuse does not start with a slap the first time. It starts with emotional. Women verbally abuse men, mostly. Men verbally and physically abuse women. So a woman may not hit a man, but she can use really abusive words that are going to cut down this man, that he is not going to be able to rise up. Because that is what happened. The psychology, the mind control, the manipulation, the turning things around so that it is not, even if I'm the one who is at fault, if I'm the abuser, I will make sure that you realize it was because you did something. That is why I did. If you had not done, I would. That
so
blaming, they justify their behavior. And what I want to say, when I hear my sister here talking about a child who is abused by the boyfriend or the husband of the mother, I want to say categorically for women, please protect your girl child and your boy children from people that you do not know. And when a child comes and says, Mommy so-and-so touched me, please do not go into denial.
Or blame game.
No, don't do that. Please reach out for help. Even if you are weak, you don't know what to do. We counselors are around. People reach out. Use social media to say, this happened to me, I don't know what to do. Somebody will help you. And more importantly, 1195, isn't that the GBV number? 1195, when there is sexual violence or any kind of violence that is being perpetrated to people who are helpless, we need to report first and foremost. But we need to also understand that there is a psychological issue that is going on that logic cannot fix.
I'll come back to you because you seem to describe the perpetrator in a way to suggest that in as much as their character may be wanting, there's a gem deep inside that person that can be brought out.
There could be.
And
I will want to.
I'll come back to that. But Mheshimiwa, where do we all fit, in this conversation, in this war? You talked about having representatives on the ground. For a very long time, gender issues have been left for the women. It's women's issues. It's them to work on it. Where do we all fit? The men, the women, the youth? How do we all become part of this journey?
Actually, the way I've said it, this journey is not just meant for women only. We have also, the way the madam here says, this abuse is all over. The boys, the girls, the old women. I'm very sure the old men are also victims but in silence. For us to have a sober community,
who should do what?
We are supposed to be, it has to be a collective responsibility. We are supposed to be, all of us, fighting this vice. It should not just be left for only women, no. All of us have to fight this because men are the fathers of these girls. The women are the mothers. It's a collective responsibility. It should not just be left on only women to handle these gender-based violences. No.
Let's make it a bit practical, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
Let's use your strategy as an example. What do you do aside from the home visits? What else do you do to make sure that this message gets home and actions are taken? What do you do so that we can all know, even at the home level, what is supposed to be done? What should parents do? Let's make it a bit more practical so that we prevent these cases.
There are some cases we have always been telling parents sometimes. Most of the rapes, if you look at it, it happens almost very late in the evenings.
Yes.
We have always told parents not to allow young girls to be sending them to the village shops to buy things when it's late. We have always told them that sometimes when children go to church, let them be accompanied by somebody responsible, so that the fellows should not have easy time. Like right now in the rural areas, there are several maize plantations and so forth, and those are areas you will find the fellows who do such kind of things hide when they see a small girl pass, grab her and run to the bush, to the maize plantations. So we normally tell people that they should be, the young girls and boys should be accompanied when going somewhere.
Okay.
They should not be left on their own. And also, most of these things we have realized most take place in the night when during maybe people have gone, there is a funeral in the neighborhood. They leave yeah, those kind of. I'm happy some areas that banned the disco matangas, because there you'll find the small kids may, when the parents leave, they go, and they become easy because they are found somewhere, and there are boys there who have taken maybe alcohol and bangi, they'll definitely rape them. So there are several measures we are telling parents: don't allow children to go to disco matangas, don't allow these children to move during evenings unaccompanied, even going to churches. We are telling them to be at least, they take care of them.
Be like, protect your children, make sure you know where they're going.
Yes.
And I want to say, in the you know, that's the rural, in the cities, parties, kids are being raped in parties, in homes, where they're having these parties and they are not supervised, and children are being
house parties and pool parties.
Yes, and drinks are being spiked, and girls and boys are being molested, or sexual violence is perpetrated against them. So parents need to be very, very aware. Just because your child told you that I'm going to so-and-so's house, there is a party, they go there and then they transition to the next place. And before you know it, they are doing stuff that you never imagined that your teenager would be doing. So let's educate our children. As parents, you know, parents, we are the first teachers of our children. We start early. We start early by explaining to them what safe touch is, what safe people are, where you cannot go with strangers, who is a stranger, and all that. We need to be able, and also to teach children that they can protect themselves by screaming, by kicking, by running, all these things that we can tell them, you can do these things to protect yourself. So, because again, what we are doing, we are burying our head in the sand. And things are happening. This is our reality. We are living in this reality that it is not like it used to be all the time, when my mother would just tell me, dash to the shop at 8 o'clock and go get some salt. We can't do that anymore, because we have too many people we have too many perpetrators out there. Now, the thing is that we also have to understand the reason why gender-based violence continues to grow is because of silence. And within the family, there is family shame that kicks in, and we need to bring this out, that family shame only perpetrates more violence.
Some families come together and make some sort of local arrangements.
Yes, please don't. Money is exchanged. Let's say this. When a person, and I'm glad Mheshimiwa is here to say, when a person violates another person, legally it's a crime. It's not a family affair. It's a crime, and it needs to be reported. And these days I have been saying, it is not about what the police will do. Your job is to report. The job of the police, they will do. Whether they move on with it or they don't. First thing you have, because again, an abuser, a perpetrator, they usually threaten people. If you say, I will, they threaten you. So when you allow yourself to be threatened, whether it is fears within or the perpetrator has told you, if you say anything, I'm going to cut up your mom or whatever, when you stop saying something, they get more power and you become less powerful. And so we need to understand that reporting is very, very important.
Okay. I said something earlier about behind the character of any perpetrator, there is a gem deep inside that can be brought out. And there was a reaction to understand more. Do they change? Some people say that he will change. He's a good man or she's a good wife, you know. Is there something that
it depends.
Can be pursued?
It depends on the person. First and foremost, if a person is the way they are because of a trauma situation, the trauma can be healed if they are willing to go and be treated, and it is very possible, and it's not the rest of your life. It is treatable, and it can be, and so that person can actually, because that person can actually become somebody else. But then we have the other part of a person who have a narcissistic personality, and that one is very difficult to change, because that is their way of looking at life. That's their reality. And so that now we are going into pathology. So a person who is a psychopath, you can't really, you know, you can't, they are not safe in the community, because they have no empathy whatsoever. And so sometimes when I look at people, when I take their history, a perpetrator, and I take their history and I hear what they have been through, then I can actually say this person can be saved, because they are acting out of a trauma. And if we can heal the trauma, then we can heal the person, and they can begin to embrace themselves. Because one of the things about people who are violent is that they hate themselves. They don't accept themselves. But then they project this hatred, this self-hatred on other people. And so because they can't even look at themselves. So they see other people, and you're the one who is wrong. They can't look at themselves.
It's you who has made me do that.
And you will see this on many levels. So we are talking about the perpetrator. That's the worst case scenario. But then we have people who are like that. You know them, that they can never say they are sorry. They always say it's because somebody else did something. And as parents, as we are raising our children, this is why it's so important for us to focus on the home. When we are raising our children, we need to be watching our children and see their personality as it's growing. A child who throws themselves on, when they are 2 or 3, they throw themselves on the floor, they cannot be consoled. You need, even the good word says, the Bible says that the rod of, and I'm not saying, I'm not talking about child abuse.
It's just an innocent.
No, it's not. You need to correct it, because it says, the word says
something and they're on the floor rolling.
And the word says that the rod of correction, it drives out foolishness, because that is foolishness. So as a parent, you need to focus on your children and watch them, because we do know psychopathology starts very early. And but it can be, unajua vile tunasema kwamba mti unaweza you can shape. You can shape when it's young. Yes. And we need to do that. When kids are molested at an early age, please do not say ni mtoto no. Take that child. We have child psychologists who can help you as a family know how to deal with this. So that this child does not.
What you're saying, let's not take anything for granted when the kids are growing up. Every stage is important.
Yes,
every character they show.
Very important.
If you allow it, then you make them believe this is allowed in the world. I can just go away with anything.
Yeah, and don't beat. You know, a lot of people, all they do is hit. Don't talk, teach, model. Also,
let's talk about the quest for justice, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
She has really insisted, let's not be silent about these issues. Let's report, allow the authorities to take action. Many victims would say, you know, nothing is ever done. Sometimes we've had cases of maybe a rapist, you've taken them to court, a few months down the line, they've come back to the very same village, they are just walking scot-free, you are at risk again. When you conduct when you look at these cases, when even you pursue these cases, what is it that you do to ensure that in that quest for justice, the journey begins and ends and the perpetrators are put to book at the end of the day? Many cases just disappear somewhere. In fact, victims are vulnerable because some of them come from very humble backgrounds. You do not have even the finances to pursue, you know, your case. So how do you ensure that every person who is a victim gets justice at the end of the day?
We are really trying our level best. The way I've told you, most of the people who rape, they collude with the parents of maybe the girl, and they want to solve it at home, the culture thing, and the keeping the name of the family thing. Those are some of the things that we are trying to discourage, my dear sister. We are trying to discourage that, and we tell the parents of the affected children not to accept this kind of thing, to leave the medical, take care of the medical side, and the government to take the other side of this person being taken to court and being jailed. And if possible, even now, there is a law that is coming up in Parliament whereby we want strict measures to be taken against these rapists. Anybody found raping a young girl, a woman, or a young boy, these people should be, the punishment should be very harsh.
What is
because
this
they have no heart. They have no heart for the anybody. Because when you rape a small kid and you destroy her properly, you are an animal. You are not a
Tell me more
person.
about this law. What is this strict measure that?
Yes,
that
we
is
want
strict,
it to
more
be.
strict than what is there.
We want to be it that maybe these people can be castrated or be jailed for life,
Oh my
even if
God.
it is a relative of mine, because what they have done to that child there, or this young,
Oh my God.
or okay, she started by saying it was unethical
Yeah.
some long time ago for a young boy to go rape an old lady. Surely that's, you are raping a grandmother. Somebody who
It's
is
a taboo.
90 years.
It's a
That's a taboo.
Yeah.
So you are not fit to live in the society. You are fit to live in behind the bars, where you will be put on a harsh penal, you will be jailed, you go and do work there. Maybe you in the jail there you will correct yourself, or you just go there. You'll be away from the society. Yes. So those are the kind of harsh treatment that we want these people to be.
That law is
slapped to.
very harsh.
Yeah.
Let me
That law indeed is very
Let me
harsh.
say something that I saw I saw in the U.S. Any time that you are caught sexually violating someone, you are put in a database, so that you have to report every time you move. People know, like now if I'm moving into a new area, I can actually go online and find the perpetrators of sexual violence within the area I'm moving into. And that is probably something that
that's a
that
good one.
somehow if we can borrow
that idea.
because
They
they
get
can
tagged.
Yeah.
But is that a good thing though? Because these people reform and you know.
they do
And
they
is
do.
it fair to put
However,
that tag on that person
And
that
even
you're
it
a
should just be
perpetrator?
like, you know, when we were in school, you could steal somebody's pencil. They used to put a tag on, I'm a
Thief.
thief. I think this is better. Even the tags should just be on their backs. I'm a rapist. So that the back and the front, so that when people see such a person, they
I
take off.
think what we want to say is this. Obviously, what has happened in other countries, we can only borrow and make it our own
to suit us.
to suit us. What I'm saying is that there are measures. The problem we have in our society here in Kenya is that
Is the
we
law too
still.
soft?
I believe no, it's not. We have the laws, but
The law is there.
we don't have the mechanisms to make them work.
Okay.
Because now if I go to I had a young lady not very long ago. She called me in the morning. She had been beaten up with something and she was bleeding. She goes to the police station and they tell her, that is a case for the chief. At 7 in the morning, chief ameingia ofisini.
Really?
And the woman is bleeding. So to me, I think we have the laws. They are very strict on gender-based violence, but we are not able, I don't know, they are not being reinforced the way they are supposed to be reinforced. And so the laws are not necessarily protecting.
Okay.
Yeah, we would like maybe the police to assist when they see such a case. Let them not refer it back to the.
There are many victims who
Let them not
report.
refer them back to the chief. Surely, the police should take action very
Yes.
fast. If the police will cooperate with some of the
victims.
us or with the victims, things will work.
Yeah.
But if
There was a
if
time-
somebody goes to report and she is told, go back to the chief, you know,
Or
that
they
is the
laugh.
time.
Some people say,
And the
they
correction
laugh and they
thing.
tell you how maybe
we've
you
been
provoked
seeing
it.
We have been
You
seeing
know?
some things happen, like people are saying, my dress, my choice, at something that is triggering this kind of.
Is your dress your choice? Let me
kind
ask
of
you as
things.
mothers, as wazazi now. This thing about my dress, my choice, is it valid? Should I just dress the way I want just because it's my choice?
There are a lot of things.
What do you think?
There are a lot of things in life that you have to remember, that you live within a society. It is your choice, but then you live within a society. And so the other person who has to interact with you, they have a choice as well. And so you have to, this is what we call social intelligence. That yes, you can dress the way you want, but then you are going to have to deal with other people in the society, and you have to pay attention to how you are, you know, presenting yourself to those people. That doesn't mean that, because again, we are not saying just because I dressed up in a certain way gives you a right to violate me.
That you are
so we are talking, you see what I'm saying? That's why
the perpetrator
and if you really feel that I have offended you, don't perpetrate against me. Speak to me, because we are humans.
Yes.
Speak to me and tell me, you know, Dad, I have seen, I remember one time I read something about, you know, women in a soko, I don't remember which town it was, and they saw a girl who was dressed, you know, in a very short miniskirt that she can't even bend. So the women in the soko, they took laces and they just covered her and took her
That's a better approach as opposed to
and spoke
being undressed. We've seen cases that, you know, now they undress you and now they make you completely bare. My producer Ben seems to be agreeing with you totally. There are people, I will not term whether men or women, there are people who dress just to provoke.
Yes, and we don't, and again...
That one we don't advocate for it, the way she has just said it. I think that's how it can be handled.
Yeah, like take a lace or tie, or talk to them, help them understand why you're not comfortable with how they're dressed.
Tell her,
even if they don't agree with you, but the point is home.
Yes.
I know one thing, you may talk to somebody in the streets, maybe correcting them, and they feel like you, who are you? They can tell you all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, when they're home, something has to happen.
Yes.
They have to think about that moment, and something has to happen.
Yes.
So do it regardless. They may call you names, they may tell you mind your own business and everything, but you have done something. There's a seed you have planted.
Yeah.
We are running out of time, unfortunately, and I would like to get your very quick final remarks on the issues we are discussing. Let me start with you, Grace. Let's talk about the healing process of the victim.
Yes.
Yeah, take us through it briefly. Like, in case somebody is a victim, maybe they're even watching this morning. Probably they do not know where to start.
Yeah.
People who are watching this morning, what do they need to do to accord support to somebody who has been a victim of violence? What do we do to ensure that the healing process actually
begins.
is?
First of all, I want to say that it's very unfortunate that people have to go through this. The Vunja Kimia kind of, you know, slogan, and Dr. Kizi Shako has the vunjakimia.com. Reach out. Don't call 1195. There is help. Reach out. And also, I want to say that I am open to helping people, and I have worked with many women without people fear that you're going to be charged money or whatever. We'll find a way to help you out. So reach out to me. I don't know whether you guys allow us to give our number.
Social media?
My social media is Grace Karaoke Deritu. Reach me out on that.
Grace Karaoke
Deritu. Yeah, and that is I get a lot of inboxes. Please reach out to me. At least I can give you the starting point. We want to say, for the abused person, whether you're a woman or a man, remember it's trauma. It's a traumatic experience, and it may have started small, but the more you are unable to get out of it, the more traumatized you become. And you become complacent, you become depressed, and you become anxious. Depression makes you not be able to see hope, and then anxiety makes you look at all the what ifs. I can't do it. You can't. So better the devil I know than the angel I don't know. So I can't trust the future. And even if I leave this situation, what makes me think that I am going
the
to?
Other one is better.
And also we want to say also that for women especially, in abusive marriages especially, they are there, most of them, because of financial or economic reasons. So figure out a way, call us, let us work with you with your situation. Let us find out how we can help you to get out of this. And most importantly, reach out for help. And if somebody hits you, that's an assault. It's a crime. Report it.
And if you allow it the first time, it will happen the
Oh
second
yes,
time.
yes. Don't allow it. And then if it happens the first time, create boundaries before you are destroyed. You know, before your ability to fight is destroyed. And also, if you're afraid of reaching out, remember that it may have something to do with your own self-confidence and self-esteem, that you feel afraid. Don't allow fear to keep you down.
You've said something about staying for financial reasons.
Yes. Yeah.
What about those who stay for the kids? Is it a good reason?
I will say this on the surface. If your children are the ones who are suffering more than anything, and you are perpetrating violence, even in their own. So what is going to happen, it is when they grow up, they don't know what normal is. It becomes their normal. So if the situation is traumatizing to the children, don't stay. Because you are all going to you're
exposing them to feel this is normal.
Yes, yes. And so let's find a way, especially physical and verbal abuse. You see what happens when children become a little bit older, 10 and above, they begin to protect the abused parent, and they get the abuse. They start getting the abuse themselves from the abuser. Don't expose your children.
So all of
to
you
that.
You become a victim.
Yes.
You together with your kids.
Yes.
The ones you
and
stay
this is not
for.
about breaking marriages.
Okay.
This is about safety. I want people to hear that. It's about safety.
The other time we were having almost a similar conversation, you said something important as we bring this to a close. You said you don't have to necessarily leave or divorce, but you don't have to stay there and be exposed to that dangerous environment. You can separate and try to solve your problems at a distance, you and your partner. So you can leave. You've not left your marriage, but you're trying to find a solution before you go back to that environment, so that you can go back when it's safer. The other side of it was when we were asking a question about when is it time to leave, when is it too bad? You said, you may try to stay as much as you can to figure out whether the marriage will work, but make sure by the time you leave at a point of strength. You leave having known that I've left, and this is why I've left, so that you're clear in your mind that you've made this step. Because many people leave and come back. Leave and come back.
Because they
you leave at a point of weakness. Anyway,
they never sorted
your final word.
Okay, my final word is just like what she's trying to say here. We want as much as families to live peacefully. I would not advocate for separating, doing what on what, but I want to say families should bear with each other. They look at where the problem is, and they be able to solve amicably, so that we should not have a reason why there is always wrangles in families. The children suffer. The children are growing up in a very bad environment. Maybe when a man and a wife, they're ever fighting, those children are learning something also. And you'll get, like I was seeing another small boy was practicing in the wardrobe, trying to pinch the cloth. Now I was wondering what is in
what is happening
this boy?
in their mind.
It means the father is always boxing the mother, or what? So some
you
of
need
these
to read into this
some of these small things that we do, we have to be very careful in our homes. You don't just slap your wife. Don't just throw your words to your husband or slap him. That one you are trying to put up a society that is morally wrong.
Okay.
Let us learn to be, as parents, we become parents. How were our old grandmothers and fathers living? Couldn't we get anything from them?
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden the society has changed? There are so many things. Maybe she's as a psychotherapist. She's seen a lot.
I was sharing with her earlier, I was telling her her job is very complex.
I know your work, the work she's doing is very good. We need to have nearly in every county such
that's
family and marriage therapists.
Yes, we need to have in every. I think I'm now looking at something that has just cropped after her talking, that has come up in my mind, and I think I'll work on something.
Yeah, to better your
Yeah, to
A wholesome
Yes.
approach.
Against
yes,
GBV.
a wholesome approach, so
Yeah.
that this kind of things, it's terrible. You open a newspaper in the morning, a wife has killed the children, the husband vice versa.
Yeah.
We are now, the society is morally decayed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
There is an attack on marriage. There is an attack on families. Families are breaking down. The marriage institution is slowly losing its meaning.
That attack,
We are heading in
you
a very
see,
wrong
that is
direction.
demonic. That is the demons at work. You know, the devil does not want to see families up in peaceful or families coming up. So Satan himself is rising up, which we need as people or as Christians must work on this
Okay.
to make sure that families don't disintegrate.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much, both of you. Of course, this is a conversation that I would wish we continue and talk more about, because there's just so much that needs to be addressed when it comes to issues, gender-based violence. But like we all agree this morning, it's a war that involves every other person.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can all be victims, we can all be perpetrators in one way or the other. So nobody is left out in this particular conversation. Thank you so much for creating time for us this morning. And Good Morning Kenya takes a break. My colleague Samuel Njoroge is coming up with the health item of the day. Don't go anywhere, stay with us. So far, we appreciate your company. This is Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1.